Good afternoon, YouTube. Before I get too far on this project, I figured I'd start the video. So today I'm working again on a 1983 K10, Chevy K10, four-wheel drive, half-ton pickup truck. Okay, what I'm doing today is the inner and outer bearings on the front left, the driver's side hub. So first thing you have to do, you got to take your wheel off. That is 6 lug nuts, 19 millimeters. 19 millimeters, you got 6 lug nuts. Then the next, since this is, everything on here is SAE, it's not metric. That just happens to be, you can use a metric on that. Next, you have to take your caliper off, okay? The older Chevys, they use hex nuts for a lot of stuff, which I found funny, but this is a 3/8. It's 3/8 hex, and there's one on the top, the one on the top here, and there's one on the bottom, and then you just take the whole caliper assembly off. It looks like I need to get brake pads because these are shot. So that's going to be on the agenda also. So that's where we are right now. Next I got to take these off. These are hex also. And then take this cap off and then get inside to where the bearings and everything is. Okay, so that's where we are so far. Wheel off, jack up. I jacked up right on the shock tower assembly right there. So always use a piece of wood. I always put a piece of wood because my shocks don't have any rubber mats. They're all just metal. So I use a piece of wood as kind of like no damage, no scuff, no muff. So, all right, so jack up right there. Take the wheel off, take your brake pad off, or your caliper, and I'll get to the next part. Okay, I took it apart, but I put it back together again, just so I can show you quickly what steps need to be done. You're gonna need snap rings, you're gonna need a big crescent wrench, you're gonna need a pick, and you're gonna need needle nose pliers. Okay, first thing is there's a little cap inside here. See this cap? I'm gonna grab that and pull that cap out. We'll put that over there. Then there's this gap up top here, okay? You see that? You see that right there? This clip is in there. And that clip holds this C-clip or snap ring open so that it keeps the hub stuck in there. So you pull that clip out, it sits right here. You pull that clip out, and then you're gonna have to pinch this together. Pinch the C-clip together, the snap ring. Okay, pinch it in. So basically you're pinching in here, and then you need 3 hands to do this. And then you're gonna take this, your crescent, and you're gonna pull the whole assembly out, okay? Just like that. The whole thing comes out in one shot. And you put that over there. Now you can see down, there's the axle. This snap ring right here sits all the way back in here. Back up against that right there. Okay? So then you take your snap ring, you have to set it for expanding. And you're gonna go in here, and you're gonna take that snap ring and pull it off. Now, that's where I'm at. There's a nut in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's so dirty inside there. There's a nut that needs to come off. So that's the next step. Okay, so I powered through everything. I got down to the spindle, and the spindle's in very good shape. Doesn't have any gouges. The threads are good. The splines are good. The seats are good for the races. So I'm going to go through everything so far bit by bit. Okay, I'm going to start at the beginning. So you're going to take out these Allen, 5 of them. That takes off your cover. Okay, there's a rubber gasket that sits inside there. Then you have this little cover. You use your needle nose pliers and you pull it out. It's a little race that sits sits in here, okay? So that opens this up. Next thing, to get this whole assembly out, I cleaned everything up, as you can see. It was filthy. I cleaned all the parts. That took me about, I don't know, half an hour. You pull this clip out. This clip sits in here like that. That clip holds this C-clamp in place. This C-clamp sits right in here and goes inside that. Oh, come on. It's hard to do with one hand. So it sits like that. That clip holds this in there. You pop this bad boy out, you squeeze it, and squeeze it in tight like this. And then you pull the whole assembly out, okay? So then that's the next part. And then you pull this assembly out. Then you have to take this snap ring out. Snap ring is attached back here. Pull it out, it's gonna catch here. There's another set of indents here. You're gonna have to do it again and snap it all the way off, okay? So now you're at the point, there's a washer behind the snap ring. Pull that washer out. Now you're down to this castle nut, okay? And you're gonna have to take a punch. If you don't have the tool, I'm gonna go buy the tool, but I didn't have the tool. So I wanted to see if I could just take it apart, and I was able to. You put the punch in these notches, and you use a little hammer. My hammer's over there, so I can't show you. So you use a little hammer, and you just spin that off. There's gonna be a washer underneath there. Okay, that washer sits, see how that sits right in that groove? That's how that washer sits in that groove. So you take off the first castle nut. You take off the washer. This indent, you see that indent right there? That faces out. This is the back castle nut. You take that off. Then, now you've got everything that's holding it together. That's everything that's on here. Gone. Now you can pull the whole hub assembly and rotor off. I have it over here because I'm cleaning it. It was filthy inside. I've cleaned it out. As you can see, I mean, it was just filthy. Oh, look at all the gunk inside. Let me get this off. That's all the shit that came out of it, okay? Then you're gonna need a punch, a big punch. I was using this little hammer. You should use a bigger hammer. But you take that punch, you're gonna sit this. Let me put this down, put you down. You're gonna sit it this way. You're gonna punch out the seal. I'm gonna show you what the new seal looks like. There's a seal all the way at the back. This is what the seal looks like. Now this seal is sitting in there holding, that's holding the race. I don't have the race out. This is the front. The front, this is a race. This is what a race looks like if you haven't done it before. That's a race, and this is your bearing. Okay, and make sure you get Timken. Buy Timken or Centric. Don't buy that Chinese garbage, or if you can get Moog. But Timken's good stuff too. So okay, so this is your bearing. This is your race. These are going to have to be punched in to their seats, and then this just rides inside of it like that, and that's what your wheel is spinning on. Is spinning on this bearing. See how that just moves around inside there? Okay, so you have an inner, you have an outer. This is probably the big race right here. Yeah, so here's the big race. This needs to go in the back. You're gonna have to punch it in, and then this seal has to go back behind it like that. So you put the race in, and you put the seal in like that, okay? And then this one needs to go in the front, and that's it. And then you just reassemble. Make sure you clean your rotor, because it's going to be filthy with grease. Make sure you degrease that really good, otherwise you won't have any brakes. So I'm going to go buy the tool for these, and I'm going to go buy a set of brake pads and I'll be back. Okay, so I went to O'Reilly's, and this is the unit. It's a W1271, and that has teeth. You see, it's gonna fit. It fits right in there, and that's how you take the that nut on and off. Okay, so W1271 PT. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna start putting the races in, and the bearings and the seals. So we're starting off with the race, which is, it's a Timken. Okay, this is the inner race, JLM104910, JLM104910, and then the seal is 471271, 471271. This is what the seal looks like, and this is the race. Okay, now this is going to fit in like this, and then the seal is going to go on top of it like that. And we're going to use this kit so that we get them seated right. OEM 27119, bearing race and seal driver set. All right, so I'm going to put them in. A little word to the wise: put just a tiny bit of all-purpose oil. I use this stuff, it's great. Zoom spout. Just a little bit. I would just put a little bit in here just to help it seat, because if it's dry, you're gonna have a hard time. So just put a little tiny bead on your finger and rub it on there, okay? So we're just gonna seat them in there right now. You put some grease on your this is where the race is going to sit, back here, and the other race is going to sit here. Make sure you grease that up so they go on. But what you're going to do is you're going to use a ball peen hammer and a punch. You're going to drive out your old ones, and then you're going to use, where are you? You're going to use your driver set here, and you're going to drive. First you drive the race in, then you put the new bearing in, and then after that's done, I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Here it is, right here. So you just drive it in, you hammer it in, right? You drive it in, first the race, and put your bearing in. Then you need to drive in the seal. This is the seal back here. Drive that in last, okay? Now, I'm gonna try and put this on, and then we have the other. Where are you? Well, I'll get it. So I'm going to drive it on, and then put the other race. Both races are in. I just have to put the other bearing, the outside bearing. Okay? Next step. Okay, it's all together. So we have the inner bolt, or nut rather, the washer, then the outer nut, then the washer, and then we have the C-clip. Okay, so that's it for assembly on the spindle and the axle, and then we're going to put on the selector, the four-wheel drive engage shift gear engager, and then we're going to close it up with the cover. All right, and that's the completion of it. I'm going to do the brakes on this side too. You can see these brakes are shot. So I'm going to do the brakes. Now, a word to the wise: it's not going to slide on the race, and the bearing are not going to slide on to the spindle. You're going to have to use the first nut, and you're going to have to twist it on, and that's going to suck the rotor and the hub onto the spindle. Okay. So don't try and bang it with a hammer or shimmy it on there. It's going to get sucked on. Make sure you lube up the spindle so that it's able to do that. Okay, Mike Machine's out. Okay, so I forgot to film this part on the driver's side, so I'm doing the passenger side. So make sure you have your spindle lubed up. We have the brake surface is completely cleaned. We've got the outer, or rather the inner bearing and race in there and packed. And we put the seal on. And then on the inside, if you can see, that is the outer race. And then there's the outer bearing packed and ready to go. So I'm going to put this on and then we'll come back. Okay, so it's sitting on the spindle. We've got the outer bearing sitting in the race, and it's sitting up there. And next, what we're going to do, I cleaned up all the hardware. We're going to put this nut on, then this washer, and make sure that that notch is on the notch on the spindle, okay? Then this outer nut, then you put this washer on, then you put this C-clip, then you slide this in, then you put this in around that, then you put in the keeper, then you put this in, which goes in the cap here, right on the tip of the axle, and then you put the cover on, okay? And with the spring pushes this into here. All right, so that's the assembly, and I'm gonna come back when it's all put together. Okay, it's all together. So we have the inner bolt, or nut rather, the washer, then the outer nut, then the washer, and then we have the C-clip, okay? So that's it for assembly on the spindle and the axle, and then we're going to put on the selector, the four-wheel drive engage shift gear engager, and then we're going to close it up with the cover. All right, and that's the completion of it. I'm going to do the brakes on this side too. You can see these brakes are shot, so I'm going to do the brakes. Now, a word to the wise: it's not going to slide on the race, and the bearing are not going to slide on to the spindle. You're going to have to use the first nut, and you're going to have to twist it on, and that's going to suck the rotor and the hub onto the spindle. Okay, so don't try and bang it with a hammer or shimmy it on there. It's going to get sucked on. Make sure you lube up the spindle so that it's able to do that. Okay, Mike Machines out.